Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today we are going to work in Cricut Design Space to help you craft and create your own cards for the Cricut Joy. So there are tons of pre-designed cards in Cricut Design Space and they are really fun, but sometimes you want to make your own thing, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to select the edges, how to pick images that are already in Cricut Design Space and then turn them into things that work really well for cards. There's a couple tips and tricks that I want to give you that'll make it oh so easy. And we're even going to use the pen tool. So let's hop over to Cricut Design Space. I'll show you how to pull that all together, and then we'll go over to the craft table and we'll make some cards. And if you've not already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join me every week for new videos. Okay, let's go. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I've gone ahead and pulled in the things that we're going to work with today. And so you just go into Cricut Design Space, and on the home page, hit the new button and open up a brand new blank canvas. So basically what I want to teach you today is what type of images to choose. So when you go into Cricut Design Space, you can see just a ton of Cricut Joy cards, beautifully designed things that you can just make immediately. And sometimes those are absolutely perfect. And then there are times when you want to do something a little more creative that is all you. And so you want to be able to make your own. So that's what today is about. So today is about being able to go into Cricut Design Space and find the images so that you can make your absolutely from scratch own Cricut Joy cards. So if you go into images, there are all types of different things, right? There are layered images that you can print. There are simple cut images. There are images with tons of color. And so these are the original things that I worked with to get the result above. Actually, this is the original image, this is the original, and then this is actually the original. I wanted to show you that you could overlay text onto that and then how to do that. And then this is the original image, and so we've turned all of those into cards. Okay, so let's go into images and just talk a little bit about what kind you want to choose. So first of all, you need the corners. You need the edges that are cut for each individual card. So you can just search things like quick cuts, you can search cards, and over in project type, you can also click this and do cards. And so that's going to bring up the edges. So we're just going to pick one of those and pull that in. And so just remember that you can design cards in two orientations. You can design them upright, or you could design them on their side. And so today we're going to do a little bit of both. So now that you have corners, what you want to do is go in and look at images. So we are doing Easter. This is my Easter edition. So we are looking at all different kinds of things Easter. And I'm just going to scroll through this and show you what's not good. Okay, so you can pretty much work with any image if you're willing to turn some things into written text, so using your pen. And if you are willing to allow some, letters not to have their center parts. The most important thing when you're looking for an image is you want things that connect, but that don't close. So when you look at the word bunny, okay, this B does not close, so that's great. But it connects to each other, and that's good. Here it closes, and so you would have to be willing for that centerpiece not to be there. So we would use the contour tool to take it out. And so if you looked at this word Easter, it's the same kind of thing. So the S doesn't completely connect, which is good, but then your A and your E have closed circles, and so those wouldn't be there for you to use. This egg actually would be great because you see that the cut does not go all the way to the side, so we could work with that. So when you're going through in this egg, again, perfect. Because it has the centerpiece and it connects to the edges, so you would be able to put this egg on a card, and then the parts here that you see currently that are white, that would be your insert element, right? And so you're thinking, well, there's this outer edge that's cut, so what do you do with that? I'm going to show you how to use the contour tool to eliminate that outer edge cut And so then it can just become part of the card. Okay, so let's go back in, since I've already chosen the images I want to work with today, and we'll talk about each one of these and how I did them. Okay, so let's start with this first image, and let's make the screen a little bit bigger so we can see. Okay, so what we have is we have our corner cuts, and then we have our image, and if you notice the final image, the bunny is blue, like things are a little different, right? So when you look at this image, what you need are, again, open. You need things to be open. So see the eggs. So you see how the design inside of it connects to the other elements, and that's good, because if it was a closed circle, then it would be completely gone. This bunny is okay as a closed circle because it's a definitive shape, like the whole shape is closed, and that's okay. So, but for the egg, if you want that design, you need the elements inside of it to connect. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over and use our contour tool. And you can see this whole element. Okay, so what we want to do is we want it to connect to the card, so we can't have this outside shell that makes it a shape. So we want to turn that off. And then when we look at the Happy Easter and we see that, well, if it cuts this banner piece here, not these little tabs here, but the banner piece, then the word Easter is not going to be there, right? Or Happy Easter. So what we want to do is we want to take out that banner element. Now, you can take them out here in contour, or they're going to cut themselves out. It's probably better to take them out in contour, but these center elements for each of these words or each of these letters is not going to cut, or it's going to try to cut on top of it. Does that make sense? So once you've already cut the letter A out, the centerpiece of A doesn't have anything to connect to, and so it's not going to be there on your final card. Okay, so once you've clicked off the things you think you don't need, you can just exit out of that. And so now you see that all of these elements are independent of each other. The thing is the blue behind that is the insert card behind it. So what you can do now is you can literally move it on to your corner cuts and you have a card. Now, once you've done that, go over into Color Sync. Now, I have a lot of stuff going on, so my Color Sync is going to look really busy, but you just want to make sure that you have the corner cut and the cut for the bunny or the interior of the card the same, because otherwise it's going to be looking for another piece of paper to cut. Okay, so basically these two elements are one. Now if you go into layers, we're going to grab both of those and we're going to attach them. Okay, so now they've become one element. When they go over to the mat or go over to be cut as a card, they're one piece. Okay, so card number 2, we have this really beautiful, intricate Easter egg, and it says, "He is risen," and it has the beautiful crosses and everything. And so now we were like, well, we want this, but it's multiple color, so how do we do that? So what you need to do is you need to decide, what do I want to cut, and then what do I want to use the pen tool on? So what I would suggest is that you go into Contour, you click on that original, and if you look over into layers, you'll notice that for one, contour didn't show up. And the reason is because you are selecting 4 different cuts, not just one. I know it's one image, you click on that and you're like, where's my contour tool? If you look over into layers, the fact is that these are 4 separate cuts. So you're gonna have to handle them as 4 independent or individual pieces. Okay, so then if you go up and you look at the piece I did above, you're gonna see that we have a basic cut now, and then everything else is a pen tool. And so that's what you need to get into your mind, is you're going to be able to have one cut because you're going to have one color of your insert piece, and then everything else is going to need to be your pen. Okay, so what we do when we go into that original element, we're going to go into each individual piece and we're going to contour that to take out the stuff that we don't want. So when I look at this, I'm like, well, I really want the cutout to be "He is risen" and the crosses. And then I'm going to look over into layers. We'll select one and then we'll select contour. And so then you can see all of the elements here. So for the exterior one, or the base design, you do not want the egg itself to cut. Okay, so you need to remove that egg. And then if you want it to cut out he is risen and the crosses, but you don't want to worry about all those other things, then you need to deselect them. You could hide all and then just go back and grab your cross and grab your letters for he is risen. And you can keep that little flower up at the top too if you want to do that. So you just run through all of those, grab the I, and then click off. And so here are all the elements that are going to cut. Now, do you notice that that egg piece is still there? I think because whenever I went back in, I forgot to deselect. So let's take that off. So there you go. So now when we look at that, we see that we have the flower at the top, he is risen, and the crosses, and you still have all these other elements to deal with. So what we want to do is we go into the next color, we go into contour, we're going to deselect the egg, and then we are going to be able to keep all of those items and use the pen tool for that. Okay, so now that I have the items that I want selected, I can just go over into Basic Cut and hit the pen tool, and make sure that you go in and pick a pen that actually works with your machine. So we're going to be using a violet metallic. Okay, and so then we go on to the next cut, and so on and so on. And so you're just going to continue to work through that till you have all the elements that you want, and with whatever pen tools you have available. So for me, I'm going to do this in purple. And actually, as I'm looking at that, I really would like to go back and get the little top part of my flower. So I'm going to put that back. There we go. So now I have the purple that you see will be my insert, and then I will be using a purple metallic pen to draw on these other elements. Now, do you notice that I kept the egg shape on one? I did that because I want the egg to actually draw, not cut, but to draw. You could take it off altogether if you wanted to as well. Okay, so now for our third card. I wanted to show you how to just go in and get something super, super basic. I mean, it could be the shape of a bunny, it could be the crosses, it could be whatever you want it to be, but if it is a singular cut just all the way around, that is perfect for a card. And you could overlay text and things onto the outer edges. You know, here you could put anything you wanted to. So this is perfect and so easy for a card, because the color you see again is your insert. Now, if you wanted to, and I did this, I did a version to where it draws on the crosses, and he lives is actually cut out, and that is the piece that's behind it that you would see the insert through. So really, you can kind of make these anything you want them to be. Okay, so for card number 4, sometimes you're browsing in images and you find these really detailed cuts that would actually be most beautiful as like a print then cut. But you can't turn it to a print then cut because the Joy can't do that feature, right? And then you don't necessarily want to cut all these things out, especially small, and have to glue them all into place. So what I suggest is you take that design, and then we will click on this and just go into layers, and you see there's all these background pieces. You don't need any of those. And so we'll turn that one off, and so now we just have text. Well, that's great, except now we still have to choose which pieces are going to be cut out and show our insert behind, and which pieces we're going to use the pen tool for. Well, I actually have some really great metallic gold pens, and so I'm thinking bunny would be a great thing to write for 2 reasons: because I have the pen for it, and because you see this, we're going to lose the interior element. So I think it would be great to be able to just write that, and then you're going to be able to keep all of those. Okay, and so then I think loves would be a great one to cut out, although we're going to lose the interior piece of this heart because it's the same shape on the exterior and it connects to the L and the V. You're still going to know it's a heart. And then you will write that because, again, you've got these elements that you would lose. The hearts, we will actually, these are 2-layer. If you see the 2 different color, we'll turn off that cut interior layer and just let it be a singular cut. So there's a lot we can do just by, again, working in the contour, turning things over to pen versus cut. And again, you would do that. So you see when you click on it now, it's everything. So you're just going to go over into layers and you're going to click on each individual piece. So I'm just going to show you one, but so see here you've got basic cut. We're going to go up into options or operations and change that to pen. And then we're going to go into pen and we're going to change it to a marker. and we are going to choose purple. Okay, so now that will write on our card instead of cut. And then we would go in, and so like what I have here is the hearts and loves. That's going to be our cut, so our background, and it's also going to cut out the little nose. And then we're going to go to, let's see, we're actually going to eliminate the little interior piece because I don't have a two-tone color or pen. So then I'm just not going to do that interior cut. So, but it's kind of all up to you. My biggest suggestion though, or not just suggestion, reminder is that once you get to the point to where you have all the things in pen that you want and you know what your cut is, and this is for each individual card, go over into Color Sync and make sure that your cuts here are the same color as your cut out piece here, because you don't want your machine to look for two things to cut. Okay, so now that is really all there is to it. You can make pretty much anything that you want to into a Cricut Joy card with a little bit of thought and a little bit of creativity. Okay, so now that we have all 4 of our cards, remember now we have to make sure everything is attached to the right things before they go over to mat. So we're going to take our first card, and we made sure that was attached. Our second card, attach. Third card is already attached. And then our last card, attach. Okay, and so now it's time to select Make It. Now we want to make these on the card mat. And then if we scroll down, we'll see our other cards as well. So it's basically telling us that this is just a cut, basic cut. This is a basic cut. For this one, we're going to do a pin and a basic cut. And for our first one, it's a pin and a basic cut. So just so you know, for those of you who haven't done this very much, you will always use the pen tool first and the cut will be second. So the machines are always going to write and then cut. Okay, so this is a tip. So the very first time I did this wrong, and I don't want you to have this same experience, okay? So when you get to this point and you click on, so we're going to cut this one first. You click on it, there's these 3 little dots. You can move the object, hide selected, that kind of thing. See this over here? This is a rotating button. You want to rotate this design and flip it around, because if you don't, so think about this. So you've got the mat and your paper goes in this way. So if you don't flip that, then your design is going to cut out the opposite direction. Okay, so what that means is your card's not going to open the right way. So you're going to have basically I love you, all this stuff to the top of the card. So don't make my mistake and flip this around. And now you only have to worry about that for these 2 horizontal cards. Now your vertical cards are just fine. Okay, so now the Joy is asking us to set our base material. I don't have very many favorites set up right here, so you can look at Popular if you want to, or you can go in and browse all materials. In Popular, it is the very first one, the insert cardstock. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and star that so it'll show up next time. So we'll use that, and then it's telling us that we want to load our violet metallic pen in the pen clamp first. So let's hop over to the craft table. Let me show you what we're working with as far as materials today, and we'll go ahead and make our first card. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and these are the things that we're going to use today. I have my Cricut Joy, I have my pens, and these are a regular pen, a glitter pen, and a marker, and I have my insert card kits, my Cricut Joy card mat, and then I actually have a video on how to make your own insert card kits, like if you can't find the colors that you want. So I will link that up above. Okay, so let's move these things out of the way, and we're going to put our first card into the mat. So for our first card, we're actually going to use 2 pens. So we're going to use the gold marker for the bunny ears, and then we're going to be using this purple glitter pen for all of the lettering. Okay, so what we want to do is with your Joy mat, you just want to take off the protective cover. Okay, so we'll set that to the side. Our insert is literally that. We're not going to do anything to it. We're just going to set it to the side for now. And we're going to take our card and we're going to insert it behind the mat. Okay, all the way to the edge. Okay, and so then we will put that into our Joy. Now remember, the Joy doesn't have any buttons, so you're going to need to use your mobile device or your desktop to select the Go button. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you have the right pen. So on either one of those, it's telling you which pen to use first, and it told us to use the purple pen first. So we're just going to open that up, remove our needle, set it in and close it. Next, we change that pen out for our gold marker. This is what we'll do our bunny ears with. And now if you don't like the way this looks, just the drawn lettering, you could always take your markers and actually color it in. I think that would be a really fun way to add a touch to your card. And finally, we switch that blade or that pen out for the blade. Okay, and so now it's time to unload. And at this point, all we need to do is we move our machine out of the way and we have our insert. We just need to weed out our design. Now, be careful as you pull it away. The mat kind of weeds it for you to some degree. So we just want to pull really, really gently. Now remember that I said that the heart and the E, that those pieces would cut out, because they are separate, they're not connected. You could save those, and with a little dot of glue and proper placement, you could put that on the insert piece. So you could still have it. It would just be attached to the insert. So you could carefully take those out. And then whenever you put your insert into place, right, you would be able to put those elements right in here with a little dot of glue. I think that would be really great. And again, you could use the pens and color in the bunny and the sum and the U. Okay, let's move on to our second card. So for the next card, we're just doing a cut. So we're going to use this nice navy blue. We're going to insert it into our card mat the same way. And then this time we're not going to change the needle, so we're just ready to go. Okay, so now that this card is done, we just unload. Same process as before. Gently pull your design away. So you just take that weeding tool and just pop out and just be really gentle. Pop out all those extra pieces. And so our next two cards are pretty much the same. One has a pen tool, which is the same process we did on number one, and then the last one does not. So that was easier than you thought, right? So the contour tool is really powerful in Cricut Design Space. It is a way for you to be able to eliminate all those things that you don't want, and you can even layer images on top of each other and then make them into something that you want. Turn things into pen tool. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope you were inspired to create your own Cricut Joy cards and just do that from scratch. If you have any questions, I would love for you to hop down in the comments and leave those for me. Or if you like the video, I always love hearing that too. And I hope that you will hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos. And by the way, everything that we used here today, I put in the description down below in case you need anything. All right, guys, I will see you next time.